bit about preventing ice dams. Um, if you are going to watch this at a later date, meaning after it's live, if you have questions, you can put them in the comments. That's probably the best place to do it, but you need a YouTube account to do that. Um, the one thing that I want to also share with you is happy to answer questions during the live broadcast if you happen to have them. A lot of fun to do. Uh, it's a little quirky because I do this by myself. I don't have a producer speaking in my ear as to what the question is. So, I have to kind of look and read what the comment is. So anyway, we're going to talk a little bit about ice dams and how to prevent them. That's really the thing. It's a fitting topic for right now because it's so cold here where I'm at. I'm in central New Hampshire. It's going to be 8 below zero tonight. And I think it only got up to 17 degrees today. I was going to record a video outside today, but got a little distracted and didn't do it. Hey, Jason, how you doing? Can you hear me okay? Are you okay? Can you hear me? For some odd reason, I seem to think that there's no audio going out. So let me know if you can hear me. I appreciate that. Hope you're feeling better. Yeah, good. Okay. Earlier today, around 11 o'clock, where my front door is, gets really nice direct sun. We had 2 days ago, we had a storm, dropped 8 inches of powder here in New Hampshire. It's not as dry as what it is out west, but it was really nice, fluffy snow. And the sun, it's been very sunny. That's very common for storms here in New Hampshire. Once the storm hits it, it kind of blows and gets out of here really quickly. That's because of the Coriolis effect at the higher latitudes. It's the same exact reason why hurricanes, if you've ever noticed, hurricanes dilly-dally around down there at the Gulf of America. And then once they start to hit the mainland, all of a sudden they start to move. And that's due to the rotational forces of the Earth. And for the same reason, a figure skater, if you've never known that, when she brings her arms in, when she's doing a circle, if she has her arms out, she goes slow, but she brings her arms in and goes up, she starts to twirl really fast. All right, same thing with storms. Anyway, so here it was, 17 degrees today outside, and water was dripping from the front of my gutters. All right, I've got really nice micro mesh gutter covers over the gutters, and I know what was happening, that the sun, even though it's still winter and still bitter cold outside, 17 degrees, it was melting the snow, and it was coming down the roof underneath the snow. And then when it hits that cold, when it hits the cold metal or any other cold surface on the roof, it typically will instantly freeze. And so here's the thing about preventing ice dams. The only way to prevent an ice dam is, as crazy as this sounds, and we do it here in New Hampshire all the time, is you got to get the snow off the roof, all right? There's all kinds of ways to do it. We have these very handy snow rakes. They're on these long aluminum poles, and you can rake the snow off your roof. So you have to starve the dam. If there's no snow on your roof, an ice dam can't form. What people really, I think they confuse it with, is they want to know, how do I prevent having a leak from an ice dam? All right, that's probably a better question. And the way you do that is these products were developed 30, 40 years ago. The leader of the pack is Grace Ice and Water Shield. And Grace Ice and Water Shield developed this membrane. Think of it as just like a giant Band-Aid is about the best way to describe it, or a huge, like a 3-foot wide, 50-foot long piece of duct tape, all right? So it's a rubberized asphalt. It's an asphalt that's got styrene, butadiene, styrene in it, SBS. That's a polymer that makes asphalt really sticky. I mean, like sticky like flypaper. If you've ever tried to put Grace Ice and Water Shield down on a roof that's warm, or while the product's warm or hot, as soon as you touch it to whatever, you can't lift it back up. It's like contact paper. So if you were to cover your entire roof the substrate with Grace Ice and Water Shield, you're not going to get leaks. You could have an ice dam on your roof. You could have 2 feet of water backed up underneath the shingles, and it's not going to come into the home. All right, it's going to just flow across the top of the Grace Ice and Water Shield. So, but what you commonly see, I see it all the time. I see specifications or houses built that only have a 3-foot strip down at the bottom of the roof, or they'll have 6 feet, or they'll just put one strip in a valley. And the trouble is that ice dams, they can form anywhere on a roof. All right, a grandfather. I love these. I love the comments sometimes. Yeah, I do. I am a grandfather. Okay, I've got 2 grandkids. All right. So anyway, just because I've got old hair doesn't mean I'm that dumb. All right. I mean, I know it's not gray, it's white. All right. Jason, can you tell I'm having fun? All right. It's great to be back live again. Okay. So ice dams can happen anywhere on a roof. They can happen down at the bottom. They can happen 5 feet up, 10 feet up, wherever. They can happen all over the roof. All right. So what really happens to make an ice dam form? Think about it. The water, the snow melts for whatever reason. It could be from lost heat in the house. It could be from radiation from the sun, whatever. The water starts to fall through the snow. It hits the shingles or the roofing, and then all of a sudden it comes out, and the temperature of the surface is below 32. All right. So then, boom! It just starts to flash freeze. It's super chilled water. Doesn't take long to freeze. And if that keeps happening, all of a sudden you get this ice buildup on the roof. You get this ice building up like this, like this, like this. Here's the tilted roof, and here's the buildup. So you get this big trough of water back here, and it can easily flow back up underneath shingles. Remember, shingles, they have a 5-inch, they're 5-inch exposure. So up underneath the shingles, it only takes 7 inches to get to the top of a shingle, and all of a sudden the water's going to come right through. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments. I look like the Kentucky. No, I don't have a goatee though. Come on, I don't have the goatee that the Colonel had, Colonel Sanders. All right. So that's the deal with ice dams. The best thing is always just to get the snow off the roof, and then the secondary thing is go ahead, if you're re-roofing or building a new home and there's a threat of you're going to get a lot of snow, then just put one of these ice and water dam barriers over the entire roof. I have younger builders and remodelers who bristle at that advice. They go, oh, the roof sheathing is not going to breathe. You can't do that. You can't cover the sheathing completely with Grace Ice and Water Shield. Well, guess what? The regular tar paper, old-fashioned tar paper, is not like a vapor barrier. I mean, it is a vapor barrier. It doesn't allow a roof to breathe. And here you're putting shingles. You're nailing shingles as tight as possible to a subroof. If you think there's a lot of air moving between your underlayment, your shingles, and the roof sheathing, you're dreaming. All right. But keep in mind that the underside of the sheathing, it's breathing, all right? If you've installed the insulation right in your home, and you've got a 2-inch airspace, between the sheathing and the insulation, and you've got good ventilation, there's always air that's moving underneath the sheathing, and that, by default, is removing any moisture, whatever. It's allowing the wood sheathing to breathe, all right? So it's just that simple. Keep in mind, on my Ask the Builder website, if you've just tuned in, I'm the Ask the Builder guy online. Go to askthebuilder.com. Jason here will tell you all about me. And I have a ton of columns there about ice dams, all right? So you can read all about them. You can see all the products. Great photos there. And I have a lot of videos, too. I've created a lot of videos over the years here at my own home in New Hampshire, showing some really horrendous ice dams. All right, so I've got lots of information at the website, askthebuilder.com. Go there and have a ball. While you're there, you might as well sign up for the newsletter. Newsletter is a lot of fun. It's kind of a quirky newsletter. I think you'll enjoy it. Um, Kara, do I have a girlfriend? Yes, I do, Kara, my wife. We celebrated 50 years of being married last year, so I do have a girlfriend. And so, yes, I hope you have a nice boyfriend. 24 millimeter wants to know 24. How about 35? I was born and raised in Cincinnati. I live in central New Hampshire right now. Jason, and tell the guy who knows what he's talking about. Thank you, Jason, for that plug. Appreciate it. The other thing about ice dams is, here's what you don't want to do. If you have one form on your roof, it's not a really great idea to go up there and start beating on it with a hammer, trying to break it up. There's a really good chance you're going to damage the roofing underneath it. There's a really good chance you're going to slip and fall. The ladder might not be set right. It's just, it's unfortunate. If you don't think your roof is protected, if you don't think you have the correct underlayment, the ice and water shield type products, I think the first thing I would do is I would reach out to my insurance company and find out what'll happen. Like if you do have an ice dam, if you do have a water leak inside, and you get all kinds of damage, what are they going to cover? So, in other words, don't lose your mind over a roof leak. And it's probably, if you have anything of value in the wintertime that's near an outside wall where a gutter line is, the eave is, you might want to move it away in case it starts to leak overnight, whatever. Just use some common sense, and that will help you minimize damage to your home. Let's see here. Brian's got a question. I have an old house for 1900, and I add a foot of insulation on top of the old vermiculite. Good idea. Good idea. The thing that I just saw some bad information in a little magazine that we get here. It's really a promo for home builders and realtors in the central New Hampshire. And it was an article about ice dams. And I just kind of shook my head at some of the advice in it, because the people that were quoted in the article, the number one thing they said was just go ahead and add more insulation. Sure, here's what typically happens, all right? In some modern houses, when the roof passes over the outside wall, like if this is the outside wall of the house, and I'll just do it this way. Here comes the roof, and the roof's passing over it. This area right here, if it's done with traditional trusses that we have now, what we call the heel height of the truss, of a standard truss, is only about 4 inches. So what happens is that at that point where the outside wall is and the drywall is inside where they nail the drywall to the truss, there's only 4.5 inches of space or 5 inches of space between the drywall and the underside of your roof sheathing, all right? And then you're supposed to have 2 inches of airspace. So that means you might only have 3 inches of insulation there. So what these guys are telling is like, oh, add a bunch of insulation. Well, the problem is it doesn't do any good there, because you do not want to choke off that airspace. So, you can add insulation farther back in your attic, but you're still going to get a pretty decent amount of heat loss going through the roof at that spot right where the roof crosses over the exterior wall. You cannot insulate that really, really well. I mean, unless you ordered trusses that have a very high heel height, which I used to specify, or if you common frame with 2x12s, all kinds of things. So just adding insulation through the whole attic is not going to stop ice dams. Brian says, I read some vermiculite has asbestos contamination from a mine in Libya, Montana. Could be, but who cares? Seriously, all right? Here, I'll get off on a little tangent about asbestos for just a moment. Early in my building career, which was quite a long time ago, I handled lots of asbestos. We would take asbestos, it would be wrapped around ductworks of these old gravity furnaces, really thin, almost like a Band-Aid. There would be thick 3/4 inch thick, made like cardboard, asbestos insulation around old furnaces. We would take all that stuff out. All right, I don't have cancer of the lungs. All right, I didn't wear a mask. I it, we weren't working with it every day. All right, so I do my now in my family and my sister's brother and my let me back up. My sister's husband had a sister and her husband who both died of asbestosis. He was a union plasterer. He worked with asbestos every day. He came home from work with asbestos in his clothes, and the wife, I'm sure, picked up the asbestos from giving him a hug or doing the laundry. All right? So it absolutely is a serious thing if you're handling it all the time. So, Brian, up in your attic, as long as you don't go up there and, fluff it up and get the vermiculite in the air and cause all kinds of dust, it's not an issue. All right? It's not an issue, period. All right? Once again, people need to use a little bit of common sense. Okay, well, that's all I really want to talk about ice dams. Once again, all the information is on the website. Just go to askthebuilder.com, sign up for my newsletter while you're there. I think you'll enjoy it. If you have ideas for future live broadcasts, go to the Ask Tim page. You'll notice in the navigation there's an Ask Tim page. Just tell me that you watched the live broadcast and tell me what you'd like me to cover in the next one. I'll give it a shot. We're going to have some graphics and some more better things to be able to show you in the future. Remember, Brian, or Jason, I talked about having a whiteboard even to draw some pictures. So anyway, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. I'm Tim Carter, Ask the Builder, and I appreciate you watching. And let's see, Brian, one last comment, Brian. Half the house has balloon framing. It was hard to insulate because there was no tight plate. Well, balloon framing allows you to really go from the top all the way to the bottom. Sometimes it's an advantage. The only trouble is that you have with balloon framing is you don't have any insulation underneath your windows. You only get it in the places where you've got a straight shot down all the way from top to bottom, from the attic down to the basement. All right. Well, thanks very much, Brian. Thanks for watching. Jason, thanks for watching. Everyone else, I appreciate you being here. I'm going to start to do more of these vertical lives. I think that we can have a lot of fun with them, and that I'm able to share the information that I've accumulated over these decades. So thanks very much. Once again, go to askthebuilder.com, sign up for the newsletter, read everything about ice dams, and watch all my ice dam videos. Have a wonderful evening.